free agency. It's here. We're after the draft. The Pro Football Pod's got you. We're a man down today, but it doesn't matter. We've got free agency coming, and it doesn't wait for no man. What's up, Coach? How's it going, buddy?
It's going. There are so many older players that are available in free agency. Like, if we had like the T. Higginses and people coming on their first contract, there's not a lot of those. But there's a lot of like difference makers that are a little bit older, like a Jamal Adams. Like, they might have had a bad stop in their last spot, but dude, like, there's going to be some playoff teams that get some dudes from free
Since they
agency.
did the readjustment to the rookie contracts coming out of the draft, where you don't have Sam Bradford and Matthew Stafford making $80 million before they even take a snap in the league.
Yeah.
Since they changed that, it has been a big youth movement shift to where, if these veteran guys aren't necessarily getting it done and you can get a younger guy in there who's maybe somewhere near the same quality, but they're younger, so you have more years to develop them. Like, yeah, it's just we've really seen the business side of the NFL, and it's just going to continue this way as well. But I mean, we've got some stars out there. Might as well just go ahead and dive into it. I mean, Kirk Cousins, Russell Wilson, Baker Mayfield, all set to be free agents right now. Big rumor right now for Cousins is him ending up in Atlanta. I guess the rumors for Justin Fields, I guess, isn't as what everybody really thought it was. So Fields is kind of like a waiting game. I think Kirk is the first domino that needs to fall.
Once he's in his spot. Because I feel like the most valuable quarterbacks are definitely Cousins and then Fields because of his age and just like potential upward trajectory still, and then Russ, and then Baker. Like Baker had a really solid last season.
See, I'd put Baker over Russ. I mean,
I
I
mean,
know
I'm
Russ
not a hater
wasn't
on
bad and
Russ.
it's the product of what he was given, but it's Russ is much older than Baker. And it's, I don't know, for me, just the way Russ rubs the other players on his teams with all the talks out of Seattle when he was there and how things ended up in Denver. I mean, for me, I'd have Baker as my second free agent guy, but Fields, the one thing with him is you're having to give up some kind of draft capital.
Second or a third. It's not like you're giving up a first.
For
Second round
sure.
picks matter. It's not like they're nothing, but you're not
Well,
giving
it's
up a
the
potential
giving up the
star.
capital and also having to sign him to a contract. So he's he's an interesting just kind of story, because what you're looking at with him too is the team that does end up trading for him. How confident are you in him in that trade? Number one, for what you're willing to give up, and number two, for what you're willing to pay him. No matter where he goes, I think he kind of gets like the Jordan Love contract, like a 2+1 type of deal of like, here, let's get you in the system, prove it a little bit. And if we don't like you, we gave up a second or a third round pick.
Like Josh Rosen.
He got a second round pick. So yeah,
Thank
I,
you. Like
I'm fully with you there.
like
100%
and
on that
and the
train
thing
with
with Kirk, like you're spending 35 to 40 million guaranteed to be able to get this guy to come in the door. Like I'm not a huge fan of that. Like the fully guaranteed is what rubs me the wrong way. He's been doing it every year that he's been in Minnesota, but like that's a lot compared to Fields. You still get a couple years of him being cheap, and then even after that, he's never going to be worth 35 at the way he's been playing right now. So you're not going to have to break the bank. I think Atlanta is the perfect place for him. I'm surprised that they're looking more Kirk, just because of how athletic their
Mhm.
team is. Like they've got field stretchers, they've got running
I'm
game, they've got
true though,
everything.
but think about like Kurt, for as much hate as Kurt gets for like prime time and just being the prototypical just base of the average quarterback in the NFL. Like fantasy wise, like, we are a fantasy centric podcast. Like Kirk's awesome. Like he is a solid ass quarterback. If you put Kirk on the Falcons last year, they're 100% a playoff team.
Yeah, absolutely. I
Like
agree with that.
regardless of Arthur Smith and
But
what he's doing.
are they going to the championship game with Kirk last year? I don't know. Like, and it's
It,
not like
no,
Fields
that I
gives him
don't.
that, but Fields could develop into that. Like, Fields has had such a bad rap every year he's been with Chicago. They've just ruined the opportunity that he gave
He's
them at
never been
10.
set up for success there.
No.
And so some other guys looking at it here that I think are bridge quarterbacks, also kind of guys that'll be brought in as veteran backups for potential rookies coming in. Jacoby Brissett's already been rumored going back to New England as a possibility. You've still got Marcus Mariota out there, Sam Darnold, Drew Lock,
Ryan Tannehill, wide receiver for
Ryan
Texas A&M.
Tannehill. Yeah, former wide receiver. If you didn't know that, now you do. Gardner Minshew. I mean, Gardner's out there as well. So those are the type of guys like,
I
or a team like Minnesota. I wouldn't be shocked to see them move up for a JJ McCarthy and also sign Gardner Minshew.
I would not. I would be very surprised if Gardner
Now
isn't
they have Jaron Hall, so that probably won't happen. But
if he doesn't
you know,
eventually re-sign with Indianapolis. I think that he proved his worth to them. Obviously, they still have 4 more years of the cheap quarterback to figure out what they've got in Anthony, and he is a very serviceable backup in a lot of
I
ways.
wouldn't be shocked to see him come back.
Yeah, I think
The
he might be
fans
the
say he
best
loves.
backup. Like
Mhm.
of all the available backup quarterbacks, he's probably the best. Uh,
He's the one I'd want because I just love the gunslinger mentality. And when you have a backup that's not afraid to go out there and make the throws, you're kind of able to run a little more of your normal offense. So, and it ignites a little flame into the whole offense in general. Running back, the running back class is probably the most stacked position in free agency, and I think
Absolutely.
that ties into what we've been saying into our draft episodes with how these running backs really aren't going to get taken very high. And I think it's a matter of because in free agency, you can get Derrick Henry, a 26-year-old Josh Jacobs, a 27-year-old Saquon Barkley, a 27-year-old Tony Pollard, 29-year-old Austin Eckler. Gus Edwards is still out there, only 29. Zeke Elliott is on for Zeke Elliott only being 29 years old is actually super shocking to me. I feel like that dude's 34 years old.
Yeah, the fact that he's under 30 is a little bit
DeAndre
unbelievable.
Swift, only 20, just turned 25. I mean, there's so many solid running backs out here on
Studs,
the market.
studs. You put him behind a great offensive line, they are a running game.
One,
I think
3, 4, 5. You've got 6. I count at least 7 former 1,000-yard rushers are
like
free agents this
look
year.
what Cordell Patterson did over the last 2 years, and he started doing that at 30. I think that Austin Eckler regressed a lot in my opinion, and that could be because he was just given all these opportunities and like his averages went way down. But I just wasn't as happy with the way he looked playing football as I have every other year of his career. I think Tony Pollard, Josh Jacobs, and Saquon Barkley are easily the top three. Like those guys are going to get picked up on day one, but not for a lot of money, dude. Like they might not get picked up on day one. It might have to be after the draft whenever they finally decide like to take the Leonard Fournette route and pick a team and go with them regardless of pay.
Yeah, and see, that's where I think if Eckler doesn't go back to LA, I think guys like Henry, Eckler, um, even possibly Swift, even though Swift's age kind of helps him in this matter, but I think those older guys are the ones that will wait till after the draft to see where the team needs are, to see where, the potential spot may be with a contender or at least a playoff worthy team. Cause, getting towards these years as a running back, they've got maybe 3 more solid seasons left in them.
Yeah, exactly.
Wide receiver is a class that we absolutely thought was going to be a little more stacked than what it is. And that's just with the franchise tags that have taken place. Michael Pittman got the tag. Brandon Ayuk, I haven't seen anything come around about the tag for him, but I also haven't seen him anywhere as far as free agency. I do
He was a
believe
first round pick.
they're probably going to bring him back or exercise the 5th year.
Yeah, I think it's very likely. He was a first round pick. I think that they exercise the 5th year and then potentially trade him still. I think he's a very valuable asset. They have Debo. They run the ball so often. I think that they might have to change up their wide receiver room a little bit. The funny thing whenever looking at all these wide receivers is trying to match them up against these rookies, and it's like the top 6
Yeah.
rookies are better than almost every available free agent.
That my whole thing though is between this free agent class and this draft class, if your team needs playmakers or a team like Miami where you don't necessarily need a wide receiver, but having a third one would be nice, you have to come out of this offseason with somebody.
Yeah.
Like the top wide receivers in free agency, Calvin Ridley, you got Gabe Davis, Rashid Shaheed from New Orleans, Tyler Boyd's out there. He's kind of like the vet of the group. You've got Curtis Samuel. I really like him. Hollywood Brown is listed as a free agent. Noah Brown, OBJ, KJ Osborne, like some solid guys. Calvin Ridley, obviously, the cream of the crop there. And he's going to go to the team that's going to throw the most money at him, which is probably the Jets.
I'm actually really worried that Calvin Ridley is going to become the next Josh Gordon. Because of having to miss that time that he did miss, I feel like he gave
Except Josh
up.
Gordon kept getting suspended.
Well, yeah, and it's not like, but Josh Gordon before he was suspended and Josh Gordon after he was suspended are totally different players. Like even
The,
after the
see,
first suspension.
with me, I think Ridley's thing is he went into Jacksonville, obviously sat out the year, but when coming back, he expects to come back, be the number one guy, the complete number one, like he was in Atlanta, and saw like, oh, Trevor really, really likes Evan Ingram and Christian Kirk and Zay Jones when he's out there, and I'm not being fed 13 targets a game.
Exactly.
And so that's my thing with him and that's where I said New York, but I mean, I don't even know there. He gives me kind of the vibe, and this is just completely from the outside, that he wants to be the full number one wide receiver. He wants to go somewhere where he is the guy. So he could end up somewhere like Carolina for all we know.
Yeah. I mean, he would be the number one guy there for sure. Adam Thielen is only getting
Thielen's
another.
just going to work
eh,
the slot.
Yep.
So guys down the list that kind of interest me there: Darnell Mooney, Kendrick Bourne, Marquez Valdez-Scantling. I think he ends up in New York for sure because he's got the history with Aaron Rodgers. So, that's probably going to happen. Tight end, already one rumor negotiation going on with Jonnu Smith and the Miami Dolphins. Now, they're able to negotiate with him now because he was cut and released. He didn't hit the market as a free agent with his contract being up. He was released by the team. So because of that, he can negotiate early. And so he's already in negotiations, rumored to be with the Dolphins per Adam Schefter. So we'll see. I really like that for the Dolphins, though. He was the top yak tight end last year. And I mean, me as a fantasy Kyle Pitts owner, I'm glad to see him out of Atlanta because he's so athletic. Like he just stole way too many targets from Kyle
Way too
Pitts,
many. The
where
long touchdowns, like.
the Dolphins have been lacking that athletic playmaking tight end. It's just a matter of you had Jazicki and rarely used him. Is this guy going to fall into the same matter there? But you've also got Hunter Henry out here. Logan Thomas was released by the Commanders. Really like Noah Fant with his age and his athleticism.
Never really had an opportunity.
He's an Iowa guy. Yeah, like when he was in Denver, didn't really ever have the quarterback. Gets traded to Seattle. Geno had a great season, but they didn't really lean on him as much as you expected. Gerald Everett, I'm going to be 100% honest. Did not realize he was a tight end. Or not a tight end. I realized he was a tight end. Did not realize he was a free agent. So the whole Brock Bowers to the Chargers talk becomes very much more real to me if he doesn't get brought back to the Chargers.
You think at 5, or you think they trade back to like 8?
I think
to
they would
15?
trade back. I think they would trade back for a team coming up for McCarthy or Drake May if he falls.
I like that.
Jazicki, Mike Jazicki's also a free agent again.
It's
Austin
a
Hooper's out
solid
there.
pass catching option. He's got speed, he's got size. Like he hasn't been given opportunities in the last two stops in New England and
Jazicki
Miami.
would be phenomenal in Kansas City.
Okay, or LA.
Travis Kelsey's not getting any younger. Similar skill set. Kelsey just shows more of a willingness to, be a blocker and just be aggressive. But I mean, I think he'd be a beast in Kansas City. Not that, they need anything else lining up for him. Offensive line got some solid studs out there this year. Laken Tomlinson got released from the New York Jets. He'll be set to become a free agent. Tyron Smith, yeah, he's 33, gonna be pushing 34 by the time the season starts, but his vet presence, I mean, it's kind of the whole Teron Armstead thing.
Exactly.
Like, you just kind of want him in your building.
Marcus Peters was playing up until he was like 38, 40 years old almost. Like, and I'm not saying that that's the same type of path that Tyron will take, but it's definitely possible at the position if they can take care of their bodies properly.
Hmm.
Cody Whitehair too, man. Whenever as far as guards go, like definitely at the top of the board on just like available guards, and he's only 31. I like that you don't get a lot of like young players that are really at the top. Connor Williams though at 26.8.
Connor Williams, 27 years old. Jonah Williams, 26 years old. Robert Hunt, 26 years old. Like, yeah, we've got some. Dalton Reisner, only 28 years old. There's some very good offensive linemen out here. And again, like we said with the wide receivers, though, this is a very deep offensive line, especially offensive tackle draft. So I see a lot of these offensive linemen like Tyron Smith or Laken Tomlinson, Charles Leno, Cody Whitehair. Like, I see these guys almost having to wait maybe in the process, because if you can get a top offensive lineman in the draft on that type of contract versus what you're going to have to pay them, some clubs are probably going to go that route. So, I mean, I love the guys they've got. It's not the best offensive line class in as far as free agency goes, which makes me that much happier that the offensive line draft class that we're getting is, looking as good as they look. For most scouts that I'm seeing are calling this one of the best offensive line groups that they've seen in the draft in almost 20 years. Like, it's just insanely stacked. Switching over to the defensive side, defensive line got some bodies out here. Leonard
Some
Williams,
young bodies.
yeah, top of the class for me, and not even being a homer on here. Christian Wilkins,
Yes.
28 years old, hitting free agency. He's going to get the absolute bag. I understand Miami, letting him walk. They're obviously going to still try to negotiate with him a little in free agency. To me, them letting him test free agency is more of a go out there and see what your value is. And if we can match it, maybe we will. If not, thanks for the no.
Another defensive tackle, Javon Kinlaw from San Francisco, is only 26 years old. This is his first contract outside of his rookie contract.
Hmm.
Absolute stud. Now, he's played with phenomenal edge rushers most of his career. Um, but Yannick Ngakwe as well, only 28 years old. I think that there's quite a few. The only one that I think might be a little bit more top heavy on the defensive side is just defensive back. There's some like actual freaking names at defensive back where most of these guys like Danielle Hunter was really really good a couple years ago, but he's
Chase
gone.
Young,
Chase Young,
Chase Young still uh
he's
under
24.
20, yeah, under 25 years old. He'll be 25 by the time the season starts, and I mean, his whole thing really is injuries. So,
Yep.
as far for me though, as a team, that kind of helps you in this free agents negotiations, because it's like, I don't care where you were drafted. You were let go by the team that drafted you. You were traded away, and the team that traded for you let you hit free agency.
Yep.
So
Question for you.
that's maybe you get a little discount with him.
Dallas Turner, Jared Verse, Laitu Latu, or Chase Young. Who do you? How do you order those for?
Dallas Turner, Jared Verse, Chase Young, Latu.
And that's still a first round pick that you're going to have to give for Latu. So I think that Chase Young is probably going to be one of the first like names that we get whenever
Oh,
we get all the
his
notifications.
age and just without the injuries, like the projections are still there for what he can be, just with his athleticism.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of being healthy. So any deal he signs, I think it ends up being a 2 to 3 year deal. Just come in, let's see if you're healthy. We can renegotiate, after the first year and see what we've got with you and, throw you a bag then.
Former first round pick Charles Harris also hitting free agency.
Man, that guy. What a blast from the past.
Yeah, right. Um,
For
yeah.
half a second there, my brain was like, wait, who? Dolphins legend. That's
Legend.
who.
Dante Fowler Jr., another big name. Lawrence Guy from New England, defensive tackle, real big. He's veteran presence type of guy. These guys aren't going to get a lot of money necessarily. Jadeveon Clowney available. Like there are some premier pass rushing names available on this list, and I feel like the at the draft it's very very top heavy, and then there's a massive fall off. So we're definitely going to see teams that don't think that they can get their guy in the draft say fuck it and just go for somebody right here in free agency.
Now, one position I think that is going to benefit from a weak draft class is this linebacker position, especially inside linebacker. You're looking at Patrick Queen,
Wow.
Bobby Wagner. He's going to be turning 34, but I mean, the vet presence alone just get him in the building. Aziz Al Shahir, from Tennessee, formerly of San Francisco, love his ability. Kenneth Murray, you mentioned
Did I lose you?
uh,
Okay.
no, we're good.
Isaiah
Frankie Luvu.
Simmons and Eric Kendricks, bro. Like Eric Kendricks, I realize he's 32, but
I know you love Eric Kendrick so much. Like
he's such
I saw he got released today, and I was like, oh man,
dude.
I was
He
waiting for
stops the
you in the
pass
group
so
chat
good.
to be like future Miami Dolphin.
Hey, for real though, I don't
They
care
just
that
let
he's
go of
32.
Jerome Baker, so Jerome Baker's out there as well. Devin White's listed as a free agent. Jordan Hicks, Jordan
Wow,
Brooks,
Devin
Josie
White,
Jewell, Andrew Van
26.
Geekel, Zach Cunningham. Like, dude, this linebacker core: Zadarius Smith, Shaquille Leonard, Drew Tranquil, Denzel Perriman, Leonard Floyd.
I think
There's a
Bud
lot of
Dupree.
linebackers available out
Bud
here.
Dupree
A
got
lot.
ruined by Atlanta, but whenever he was a Steeler, he was utilized so perfectly. He was such a good player for them. Um,
Patrick Queen is obviously like the
the
gold
top,
star.
yes, the season that he
And
had with Roquan.
he's gonna absolutely be the one that's gonna command the most money out of everybody. Right now, just according to Spot Rack, it's looking like his calculated market value is at 18.5 million a year for his projected contract is 5 years, 92 mil. So I mean, yeah, that's right about where, let's see, that would put him under Fred Warner, but above Tremaine Edmonds.
Zach
That makes sense.
Cunningham had a very, very underwhelming career, but was viewed as a total stopgap in the inside linebacker position. Played with Philly for most of his career, if not all. I think that could be another potential, like, wait for the right opportunity. He's not going to get a bag, so he'll get to choose where he wants to go. And I think that he'll be able to end up on a contender and be a solid addition to a defense like San Fran or something that's like one of those top teams.
Hmm.
Even Detroit really has had some underwhelming linebackers over the last couple years.
Yeah, and I mean, I could see a team like the Jets, these with Aaron Rodgers coming back, and what they end up doing with CJ Mosley, I mean, that would make sense. Bring in the vet presence there for him. Secondary, let's check out cornerbacks for everybody here. Obviously, Xavier Howard's out there, so he's probably, the gold star, I would say, as far as corners out here on the list. You've got Kenny Moore, probably one of the best nickel corners in the entire league. He's available. Kendall Fuller.
Yep.
Darius Williams just got let go by Jacksonville. I believe
Adoree Jackson.
I saw it on Twitter today. I believe Darius Williams had more pass breakups over the last 2 seasons than almost any other DB, which is just nuts. Stephon Gilmore, I'll be shocked if Dallas doesn't bring him back. Sean Murphy Bunting, Micah Hyde somehow
Jeff
as a Sean
Okudah.
Safety sneaked on the cornerback list.
Jeff Okudah, another top pick. He's dealt with some injuries. He's only 25 though. He got traded from Carolina last year. Atlanta didn't re-sign him. I think that you see him join a secondary group and make it a lot better. I mean, the guy, his measurables are off the chart.
I agree. He's one of those to where if he can stay healthy and just put it together, have a team put their trust in him, give him a little bit of faith. Yeah, Jeff Okudah to me, like he's one of those like as the Dolphins, if I see it come across that they signed Jeff Okudah, I'm not mad. Like he's your number 2 corner, and for everything that was projected of him when he got drafted, he was projected to be an elite guy in the league. So I mean, those traits are still there somewhere. It's just a matter of getting it out of him. Looking at some other guys here on the list for you. Let's check this out. Steven Nelson, he's still out there. I like his game. Veteran he played in Houston last year. J.C. Jackson got let go from New England.
Yep.
Adoree Jackson, I think you mentioned him. So Shaquille Griffin as well. He played in Carolina last year, was in Jacksonville the year before. The cornerback class, that there's a little bit to be desired here. It's just I don't see any guys really on here that come in and just change a team and become their CB1, but
It's very
good,
top
solid
heavy.
depth guys.
It's top heavy on what you're going to get your value from. After that, like there's definitely guys that are going to be put on teams, but this cornerback class is very similar to what we were saying earlier. It's very, very like it's like the edge class where the top like 5 or 10 guys are solid, everyone likes them, and then after that there's a lot of question marks. Getting a dude that's 25 or 26 years old and being able to utilize them instead of somebody so raw as a rookie is a massive benefit. And like Jeff Okudah is not going to make that much money. He's got so many question marks on his health, but his age, all he needs to do is sign a 2 or 3 year deal and then prove that he's worth it. And then he'll get renegotiated in 2 seasons and get the freaking bag at that point if he steps it up.
Now, the safety class, that's a different story. We've got some dudes out here. Cameron Curl from the Commanders last season, 25 years old, strong safety. Quandre Diggs and Jamal Adams were both let go from Seattle. So they need 2 new safeties out there. Jordan Whitehead from the Jets, he had a solid season. Xavier McKinney from the Giants, he interests me a ton. Loved him coming out of the draft out of Alabama. Kevin Byard got released from Philly, so he's hitting the free agent market. Rayshon Jenkins, Tashawn Gibson, Deshaun Elliott from Miami's out here. Jaron Curse, Micah Hyde, Jonathan Owens, Buda Baker. So, I mean, Jonathan Owens, you got to see where he goes so that way you know where Simone Biles is moving to. You're on mute.
Another former first round pick, Noah Igbenogany, available. Huh?
Hey, he's got that first round pedigree.
Yeah.
I mean,
he actually did make some solid plays for Dallas after they lost Diggs.
Dude, his first game back with Dallas, didn't he have like a punt return or a pick 6 or He scored
He
a
won them the
touchdown.
game. He won them the game basically.
Yeah, like I think it was a punt return or something. But yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah.
So I mean, Jeremy Chin, Jeremy Chin being a free agent interests me a lot. He's another one of those. If he can just stay healthy, I love Jeremy Chin's game so much. Where we have defensive individual guys in our fantasy leagues, he has been my defensive back for like 3 years.
Yeah. He's
He's
only
just
26 too.
he's always around the ball. He's only like I love Jeremy Chin. He to me is somebody that I want, just as a fan, I want the Dolphins to try to target to bring in to try to replace Deshaun Elliott because he's so versatile. I think him and Javon Holland would work really well together. And I believe, all right, yeah, let's check out the long snappers. All right. Well, hey,
If Justin Tucker's not available, then we don't need to talk about special teams free agents.
none, not at all.
No.
So, I mean, that's free agency. It's the start of it's getting the wheels in motion. You're starting to rebuild your teams here. It starts up. I forget the exact date, so I do apologize to everybody, but it's sometime within the next week. Believe it starts next week on Monday, and that tampering window is going to open. Hopes are going to start to fly high. Then you've got the draft rolling in. We'll obviously have some videos for everybody coming in once these free agent moves start happening. Little recaps for you, kind of give you a small little outlook on your individual teams, what you could be looking at in the draft as a result of what your team did in free agency. So stay tuned for that. Be sure to hit the notifications. That way, when we drop an episode, you get it first. Like, comment, subscribe. 500 subscribers means we do a drawing for one free jersey of your choice. We want to give it to you. Help us help you. TulsiRoseTee.com for all your tea needs. You got anything else for the people, Coach?
I think we play the outro music and let them have it.
Hit that outro music. Love you guys. Peace. Doo-doo-doo.